Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is your AstroShaman Pernell Bobby. We are here generating a world of harmony, leveraging human-designed astrology, combining human design, combining astrology, making it and putting it into one format that is just simply flawless. Just kidding. Flawless is really one of the things that a Mercury Conjunct Pluto could attach to. Okay, now when I say it could attach to, it's the compulsive nature of Pluto. Mercury will conjunct Pluto at 28 degrees. Now 28 degrees is the degree of household names. Okay, well, many of us know this. Kim Kardashian is the example that I like to use the most because why? Everybody knows who Kim Kardashian is. That is exactly the sample of a household name. Now when this comes to Capricorn, this is a lot about secrets, lies, all right? Prison, literally the prison, that a mental prison specifically, that our family and their heritage has placed us through and under. Now, anybody you know who has a Mercury Pluto conjunction, the biggest thing you need to know is the obsessive nature and the obsessive thoughts that the type of person like this might have, and how their intentions may be consistently concealed. All right, now the irony is this is all happening at the same time as a Grand Air Trine between Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Aquarius is the sun right now and is going to be at 21 degrees during this time frame. Okay, that's the degree of Sagittarius. At around the exact same time, the moon will be in Libra. Okay, so this is our unconscious, and really it's the opposition that's going down to Jupiter and Aries. And I spoke about this in a short one of my videos, where it's like, you know, where do we not necessarily make room for other people's emotional needs, okay, or even their desires, and essentially want to be held accountable on one end but not necessarily on the other end. Libra will work through the balancing of that. And then finally you have Mars and Gemini, aka cutting through the unconscious patterns that the sun, this is what's beautiful, Mars is outside of the sun's reach. Okay, 222 on screen. Many synchronicities on this Grand Air Trine. 222 is right there. You're talking partnership connection. Okay, the sensitivity that it requires in order to essentially cut through. Okay, and this is the interesting part. Mars and Gemini is an air sign, right? The moon in Libra, air sign. Okay, Aquarius and the sun, air sign. These are all relationship type energies. 222, 1, 2, 3, 3 air signs. Okay, all talking about what is the connections that Mercury to Pluto in this conjunction want us to understand. And you know, I took some mini notes. I highlighted a couple mini things in here. A lot of what this is going to show us is that, first off, this placement is all about secrets and lies, but the secrets and the lies is not about other people. And this is the irony that the Grand Air Trine is going to really reveal to us, that we might be looking at everyone else about what is behind your original words, what's behind your original thought, what's behind your intentions. What are you not sharing? This conjunction will show us from a heritage level, a family level, how have our minds been imprisoned. Mercury itself is a neutral planet. Some planets are malefic, some planets are benefic. And that's as simple as saying they will lean and gear towards bad, or they're leaning good towards good. Now, Pluto is going to be a malefic planet, so it tends to lean towards what is negatively happening. What are the secrets? What are the power plays? What are the things that people are doing in order to keep control over me? This is a mental prison. Mercury itself is neutral, which means it can sway to the positive, it can sway to the negative. To be honest, it is a monkey mind concept where Mercury itself is primarily concerned with you know, thought processes, knowledge, the ability to communicate, the tone in which we communicate, you know, the vibration of our communication, how we communicate, why we say the things that we say. And when you put it in Pluto, and it's all happening in Capricorn, a lot of the things that we're saying is to support something, okay, at a earthly level. You know, 444 on screens, look at that, support. That's the Cancer, the opposition of Capricorn. It's most of the things that we're thinking is about we're trying to support something. We're trying to support people. We're trying to support our career. We're trying to support how we climb the career ladder. We're trying to support our authenticity, okay? We're trying to support mentally, what do we need to persevere in our career? What do we need to finally transform, okay, with the Pluto and Capricorn? What do we need to finally transform? Since 2008, Pluto has been in Capricorn. And that's a long time for us to have our mind finally showing and revealing to us the power dynamics, the power plays that have played upon us, and how we have been looking for what is the people in power hiding from us. And as long as we have been doing that, we have kept our minds busy. Monkey mind is the term. And our minds have been so busy about all the things others are doing to control our career choices, like, oh, my mom made me do this and she wanted me to be a doctor, but instead I went to go be a, veterinarian. Or I didn't become a veterinarian because my mom forced me to be an engineer. Or my father this, that, blah, blah, blah. Our mind will run all these stories. The reality is our intuition and the Grand Air Trine, all those air energies, they're going to show us a very objective reality and kind of take the emotional, especially the repressed emotions, which are part of why we're being forced to transform mentally at a soul level. We're being forced to start to see that we have basically been the self-fulfilling prophecy. We're the reasons. Mercury conjunct Pluto is a lot about concealing the questions that are being said, all right, or concealing the answers that's right in front of us. It has this drive to want to look for the answer, to look for what's right, to look for what's wrong. And the reality is our thoughts, things that are just here to be observed and let go, there will never be a right and there will never be a wrong. There will never be a solution. It doesn't matter how much we obsess about a certain idea or looking at how our career has played out. And now a lot of this will affect people in the 2020 pandemic who had to switch their careers and were forced to work from home and were forced to, learn to take care of their emotional health more, aka cancer, when the cancer was in the North Node 2-3 years ago. That force has really allowed and prompted us to embrace what does suppressing our emotions over a long, forever period of time as a default for escape, okay, likely to not address an irrational fear around our career choices, as well as the contracts that we have signed and been involved with, because both Mercury can count for contracts as well as Capricorn, which is like contractual marriage. Okay, so my point behind this is where have we been projecting our emotional demands on a partner or on a grounded source, a person or a collective of people who we've considered our rock, our support system, and chose to essentially not deal with our wounds, our wounds, and turn them from a place of wounds to a sacred wound. This is a lot of the key of this Mercury conjunct Pluto. This is detective energy. Okay, this energy can detect the secrets and the lies. It could detect what the prison has been, and we will gain major synchronicities. Okay, major synchronicities. You're gonna see 555 on screen. You're gonna see 222 on screen. You're gonna see 444. You're gonna see hella angel numbers. This is the kind of energy with Mercury. You really want to take walks. You really want to actually stick to certain routines that help you feel more grounded. With a lot of air energy, the thoughts can come in so much where meditation honestly might not honestly be the answer. Yoga would be a better form of meditation right now in these days. Qigong, things where you move the energy, you move the thoughts, you move the ideas. Because Grand Air Trines, which is currently in the sky at the time of this conjunction, finishing off this 2008 till 2023, okay, 15 years or so, finishing off this story where you don't let anybody control you anymore, especially at a mental level, preventing your transformations. We no longer can blame others, okay? you're going to start realizing the idea of releasing the pressure has always been an illusion with this Mercury conjunct Pluto. Now, I want to look at this real quick with the Grand Air Trine. A lot of times, this can speak about, you know, your ambitious thinking and planning, and you can really plan, especially in the relationship aspect with this Libra energy in the sky in opposition to Jupiter. You know, we have to almost go to war for these new ideas and beliefs, for our new instinct to break through the surface, okay? Break through the heritage. This is the kind of energy with Mercury conjunct Pluto that we can no longer blame ancestral or generational trauma for why we are the way we are. A lot of time with this energy, this Mercury conjunct Pluto, it says something about a conviction that you can't trust people too far. But you're going to learn the darker truths about why and how do we get to the point where you can't trust people, or you can only trust people to a certain extent. And a lot of that is because of what we are putting out in the world. You know, this is a very suspicious energy. It is a very conspiracy-based energy. Now, you know, I'm the first to tell you that a lot of times most conspiracy theories are true. And there's this other narrative about, you know, when you get so intertwined to the conspiracy yourself, 1111 on screen, we end up manifesting the exact conspiracy, which turns it into an objective reality. And reality is just a simple perception. You tweak a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and, you know, people will like to believe whatever fulfills their prophecy. And then we will create the mental data that will support how have others restricted us from socially climbing or publicly showing up on the world stage to support the collective. Intellectual wounding happens from the ages of 14 years of age to 21. So when we have damaged our spirit, or when our spirit has been damaged from a heritage level, Capricorn, okay, all right, from 0 to 7, you have the spiritual wounding. We then, and this is a lot in human design, you could look at your Venus sequence in human design, all right? You will then look at the emotional wounding, which is a lot of the axis between Capricorn and Cancer. And this is where, again, 2020 really brought that out of us, right? And the emotional wounding happens from 7 to 14 years of age. Okay, we've been emotionally suppressed. We're trying to come into our own, coming into, you know, middle school to high school, and we can't express ourselves in the ways in which feel most natural to us. And that's when, like I said, the intellectual escapism happens, where we learn, look at the synchronicities, they're all over in the Grand Air Trine. The intellectual wounding will allow us to bypass the spirit, bypass the emotions, and mentally control ourselves by maintaining a suspicious nature. A couple key things with this is, you know, concealing your own thoughts with the Mercury Pluto conjunction, concealing our own thoughts, and even the unconscious ones, the subliminal signs. A lot of times this can look like transfixing. You ever been in a discussion with someone where they transfix their vision or their gaze on you, and they show monotony? They show no emotion. They barely budge. And what they do is they put you in a psychic lock. They put you in a psychic control where you can't read the person. And so this is a lot of times where we begin to scramble. The Mercury Pluto conjunction is now, through this control dynamic, through the psychic manipulation and imprisonment of, you know, literally your mind, okay? We now get so invested and obsessed with trying to figure out what the next person is thinking that it's what creates this prison in the first place. But it goes a step deeper, where now we'll begin to talk and go on and on and on, and start to fill up that empty space because of irrational fears of what the judgment looks like. And this is Capricorn energy really being concerned with external validation. Capricorn loves external validation, loves recognition. And so when it does not get recognized and someone else recognizes that about you, they will allow you to ramble on. So the key with this Mercury Pluto conjunction is, I actually wanted to go live and talk about this. But then I realized, wow, I'm going to essentially fulfill my own prophecy about the message that I'm looking and I'm here to actually speak to you and through to you today. 444 on screen again, which is filling up the empty spaces for a fear of awkwardness, a fear of being judged, a fear of, well, what happens? What do I do in the moments in the middle of my discussion with a partner, with a significant other, with a boss, with a coworker? And a lot of times what we do is we'll either, one, stay completely silent, or two, talk way too much. So the key with this Mercury Pluto conjunction is to say what you need to say and shut up. Say what you need to say and shut up. If you're watching this and you're on repeat, and you're watching this on replay, I want you to type this. I want you to just affirm this. I'm going to say what I need to say and shut up. Just say it in the chat. I'm going to say what I need to say and shut up. If you're watching it live on the premiere with me, I'm going to say what I need to say and shut up. Because when we just ramble on, we're a lot of times filling in those insecurities. A couple key themes with this is, you know, the people will do this where they'll keep speaking until they exhaust the listener, or they'll let the other person speak to them until the listener is exhausted. And when you get into that exhausted state, you get delirious, right? A lot of times with this, there's a control dynamic within the discussion where there's no real two-way communication. I've had to excommunicate people, friends that I really care about, literally even in the career, in the workspace, because there's no two-way communication. It's one way. It's my way or nothing at all. Now, again, at the same time, it's about recognizing those control and those power dynamics of when did I do the same thing? And this is what I spoke about earlier, the opposition of the moon in Libra, okay? Our behavioral unconscious patterns that we get likely from either the mother going opposite to Jupiter, which can even be the father. Quite frankly, it could be both. It could be both, okay? Where do we continue certain behavioral patterns? This is where Gemini is cutting through at 12 degrees in Mars. It's cutting through outside of our conscious awareness, because Mars is a planet that works in the domain outside of the domain of the sun. The sun has a domain of all the planets prior to Mars. Mars, the first one that now can act without the conscious help or assistance of the sun. So the last couple things that's really key with this is, you know, what we least want to happen is to be avoided in conversation. So the irony is we kind of self-fulfill the prophecy of controlling the dynamic or the discussion so much that eventually we do get avoided, which is, like I told you, I give an example of when I begin to literally avoid people to the point where I'm like, I never get to talk with you. I get to get preached at. And I don't want to be somebody to preach at me. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm either going to communicate with you or... So the irony is this Mercury Pluto conjunction, a lot of times those people will exactly fear. Pluto speaks about our fears as well as irrational, but also fears. Those exact people don't want to be avoided. They don't want to, that's the least thing they want to happen. Okay. Now, finally, a lot of times this will happen with a childhood that is charged in the atmosphere of what is unspoken. A lot of things that were never spoken. This is what suspends us in a state of not knowing. And, you know, we as people, we hate being in the unknown as a society, as a culture. All right. We hate being in the unknown. Being unknown is a beautiful place. It's the best place to be, but we essentially avoid it like the plague. So a lot of times these environments will create a certain atmosphere of secrecy. Family members deliberately shut down for long periods of time and refuses to utter a word, as it is often a form of punishment. So who has used stonewalling and tried to say these power dynamics about, oh my God, you know, this boyfriend or this girlfriend is a narcissist, so I just stonewalled them because I looked it up on YouTube and that's what you should do to a narcissist. But it's like, is that what's happening, or are we actually recreating that fearful environment of rejection where we maintain our own secret and hidden motives, which is what Pluto or Scorpio does, our own hidden agenda, our own hidden motives, where we essentially were the reason that, again, that self-fulfilling prophecy was created, because we are reenacting our heritage. We are reenacting the family prison of just leave them in silence, stonewall people that we actually truly care about, our close ones. Because this isn't Capricorn. Capricorn does not deal with fake friends. Okay? Capricorn is a real one. It's Earth. It looks at the reality of things. So we're going to have a very sobering reality with this Grand Air Trine in the sky, because air is like, air don't care, right? And it's like, it's a very objective sign. It has a certain emotional objectivity that will not allow us to continuously emotionally be overreactive. We're going to clearly be able to see, where have we been emotionally overreacted? Where have we emotionally overspilled? I seen 20 on screen. That's a transformation right there. Somebody just transformed. So secrets that come from this, it can poison the perception years into the future. When you go up in an environment where, you know, things are left unspoken. You know, my trips home, for example, when I take trips home, I speak about those things that bothered me, that were like left unspoken for all my life. I speak about each trip I take home. I live out of the US. Each trip I take home, I speak about the unspeakables. All right? I speak about the unspeakables. I speak about the family secrets. But with the family. With the family. Right? So be very mindful of people punishing you through silence. Be very mindful of having exhausting inner discussions in your mind. Okay? The mental mind, the monkey mind, just being obsessed with a single thought. If you find yourself thinking of the same thing over and over and over, and you're in this OCD state, this compulsive state of anxiety just through thought alone, watch how that is your own prison, and look at who are the people that you have emulated, likely in your family heritage. Know when to stop, okay? You'll either find yourself in a very long argument during this time frame, where again you'll get cyclically locked, or you'll find yourself shutting up completely, but shutting up to the point where again you're punishing the next person. So be very mindful of that. No good comes from pursuing a discussion further than when you got your point out. So the final thing that I feel like is important about this just conjunction and this Grand Air Trine, the synchronicities is coming up, is find yourself engaged in areas really involved in like a psychological unwiring, you know, like let's say astrology, you know, it's a very psychological format where you can really dive deep into your unconscious. You could dive deep into your subconscious. You could dive deep into your conscious. Something where you can really focus and hone this energy. This is the kind of energy that will literally drive a person crazy, insane. It's also the type of energy that will force us to escape through drugs, while Venus is still in the sky in Pisces right now. So that matters. We can escape through drugs, but as well, you know, Pluto will how did the same people, how did they escape when they were stonewalling, when they were shutting up and punishing us? So, you know, this is the detective type energy. This is constantly discovered as the detective, Mercury Conjunct Pluto. But what is cathartic is to admit that they greet much of what is said with suspicion, so that we actually have a lot of discussions and conversations having a suspicious mind. All my Scorpios out there, okay, I have to be straight up honest as a Scorpio rising. When I understood this and I reread this chapter, diving into psychology, reading Mercury Conjunct Pluto, I had a lot of energy today that I didn't even know what the hell to do with. I'm like, oh God, I got to do these things, and I was getting ready to speak live and just overspeak rather than saying what needed to be said and just shut up. And that's been a big lesson I had to realize. So the key thing, me as a Scorpio rising, I know my Pluto's in the 12th house in Scorpio as well, right? And so it's like that conjunction between my rising, I myself straight up have like truly sabotaged myself and a lot of relationships. Opposite dynamic being, this is a relationship transit. 222, I said in the beginning of the screen. Hit the thumbs up if you're rocking with the message. Subscribe if you're brand new and you're rocking with the message. You know, I had to discover that I really met a lot of people, a lot of relationships, a lot of lovers, a lot of everything with a suspicion, and I would project that suspicion outward, and I would in return date people that would project their suspicious nature and look at me kind of like, what you hiding? I know you're hiding something. I know you're concealing something. And it's like I had to learn through those lessons, and likely all of us on this transit will understand where did we obsess and always look at the next person as they're hiding something and being suspicious, and when do we greet and start the conversation discussion off like that. That really, you know, kept fulfilling our prophecy and putting us in a state of mental agony, frustration, agitation, right? So if we can admit that we have met and greeted people with suspicion, is very helpful. It's very much an emotional release. These people oftentimes expect to conceal things from them, and they actually conceal things from others. And this is the thing, you know, Scorpio is dealing with the other. So understand where we are concealing things from other people, and instead we're getting that in return. This Grand Air Trine is going to bring out these major synchronicities. All right, that's the big thing. So give yourself the space to listen and hear that. Engage in a calm and detached discussion or conversation with other people, and recognize that you know, you can approach this with a certain intellectual curiosity, and that's what Grand Air Trines are here to do, and what they're about. With Aquarius and the Sun, we can consciously become aware of, you know, the weak points in our ego, straight up, and where we like to be intellectual masterminds around our pain, convincing ourselves that things aren't really what they are. You know, this is the type of energy where this Grand Air Trine is going to help us to objectively see, you know, what is really real. Now, the irony is, you know, what's really real is often very subjective. Okay, it's very subjective. And when you repress your emotional health, I really recommend you look at the Venus sequence. Okay, if you want to really go through this with me, and you want to go through a Gene Keys human design reading on a one-on-one, come check me, come see me. This is the open season for me. I'm in a career-based season. Come check me, and I'll help you with the Venus sequence. I help you understand what were your emotional wounding, your spiritual wounding, which is where it started, okay, what got us away from our spiritual mission in the first place, and then our emotional wounding, which is like, okay, now you're really impacting the relations you have with other people, and it really negatively impacts your business, quite frankly, you know, when you can't build rapport with people, and you can't feel, or you don't allow yourself to feel, and that's intellectual wounding comes, where, you know, if you just stay stuck, and I've been here, I swear to God, I've been here myself, you know, when I just stayed stuck in the intellectual wounded minds, my shadow in the intellectual was superficiality, and I had to address those wounds, all right, so I could better tap in with the sensitivities within me. So this Mercury Pluto will help you understand the deeper unconscious, the deeper collective subconscious. This is a very collective energy all over the world. We're going to feel this without a doubt. You better believe it. And you know, everybody that thinks that they don't care, or they think that they don't need blah blah blah, you know, they don't need other people, you're lying. You know, we're all lying. We're all lying. We all want to be interdependent. And for all my independent, you know, single ladies out there who's, I'm an independent woman, I don't need nobody, you're lying. You're absolutely lying. And for all my guys out there who's just like, you know, F bitches get money, you know what? Quite frankly, it's not a terrible strategy besides the F bitches part. You can get money and still relate with others, okay? You just got to grow nutsack and learn to say no, and, you know, straight up put your foot down and control her on some real, you know? And when I say control her, I don't mean put her in a headlock. I don't mean, you know, you get the point. What I'm simply saying is like, be honest, be true, be real. When she's going through an emotional wave, put your foot down and realize and be willing to shut up. Say what needs to be said and shut the hell up, and let her run into her own wall, and then she'll come right back to you. So point is, this is a really big relationship type energy. All right. If you're looking to join my memberships, all right, they're available, right? I really love the community. It's incredible. I started giving out homework per request, giving out more physical documents on the follow-ups, study material, astro guides, literally. So that's been an enjoyment. But if you want a one-on-one base, you want to understand your human design and dip into the astrology behind that as well, it can help you really understand. I really recommend with a message like this, the Venus sequence, you know, where we go through, you know, your attraction and understand what is the attraction, how do you avoid the attraction, what's your gift in the space of attracting others, which then leads us, you know, to the sequence, the whole sequence. All right, this is a spiritual, emotional, intellectual processing, how we deal with our sacred wounds. Hit the thumbs up, hit the likes button. I really thank you for listening to this message. I had to say this today, and now I need to shut up. Hit the thumbs up. I'll see you soon. Join the membership. Check me one-on-one if that's what you need. Pluto is about to implode in March, baby.